Hello, 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 hello. What's up, awesome people? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk about an epidemic first, okay? But we're going to talk about how to use revision to fix the epidemic. What's the epidemic, you ask? Well, it's loneliness. People are really lonely, and we have connected ourselves globally through social media, right? I mean, like you can get on and you can feel connected, but it's kind of like a pseudo connection, right? You don't feel as connected because if you did, we wouldn't have this epidemic of loneliness. So it's like a connection under the guise of being connected, right? It's like, oh, I kind of feel connected for 5 minutes and I'll go check up on my friend and her update and I'll see what they're up to. But then we unclick our phones. We turn them off. We put them in our pocket. We put them in our purses, and we still feel lonely. Okay? And so the reason why I'm starting the video out with this today, especially when it's in relationship to how to use like revision as a form to get people back, is that you have to understand that sometimes our belief systems, the things that we've accepted as true, aren't our own. That they're part of the culture, the wider culture, and the wider way of thinking. Okay, so sometimes you may not even feel lonely, but because there's so much social pressure about getting married, there's so much social pressure about being in love, there's so much, Hollywoodization. I know it's a new word, meaning, right? That there's so much film around like romantic comedies and people falling in love, and then they disagree, and then they fall back in love, and then they get married and have kids, and then it's all happily ever after. By the way, I used to love like romantic comedies. Do not like them anymore because you can follow the framework of how it's meant. That's key, meant to be. Okay, so that creates loneliness, that creates expectation, that creates pressure, that creates force around how we're meant to think and feel and explore and experience what we think love is. Okay, but if we're constantly looking at love and its opposite as a form of loneliness, then we don't understand what it means to manifest like someone like a significant other. Okay. And so I want you to be very, very well aware that sometimes your loneliness may be a borrowed loneliness. It may be someone else's that has been imposed upon you because you live in a society where you're meant to feel lonely if you're not with somebody. That means you're not meant to enjoy your time alone. That means you're not meant to enjoy doing self care routines all by yourself. That means you're not meant to enjoy having goals that are just for you, by you, right? And created and experienced only for you. Okay. So I need you to get that because sometimes people, when they look at the SP, they look at the other person or the significant person as an eradicator of that loneliness. So then they look at them as an object that they put on a pedestal and they turn him into almost like a god or a divine figure upon which they worship. And worship, by the way, means you find your worthiness in that object. Okay. You should never find your worthiness in anybody except yourself. Not in a religion, not in a book, not in actions, not in art, not in anything else except yourself. Now, if you go and do those things, do it out of feeling worthy, right? And so this is very, very important. You need to fully understand the psychodynamics of what's going on when you're trying to manifest and even use revision, okay? Because you're not revising away loneliness. You're revising love. You're revising acceptance. You're revising purpose. But who's doing it? You're not doing it while you're objectifying the other person. You're doing it while you're objectifying the imagination. Do you understand that? That's a huge difference right now. Because I don't want you to look to other people to fulfill a loss or lack of love. Okay? Because really, fundamentally, manifestation or even the work of Neville, right, is that you are the person that you've been looking for all along, right? And I know it sounds cheesy and life coachy, and even though I'm a life coach, I absolutely don't like that label on it because it makes it really corny, right? But fundamentally, that is true, right? The stereotype on this is has actually value in it, in that if we realize and recognize that, listen, what Neville's teaching is that you are the savior that can only save you, right? Not an SP, not a him, not a her, right? Not whoever it is, fill in the blank. And again, this goes across the board, whether you're manifesting an SP or more money or whatever. You are the money that you're seeking. You are the SP that you're seeking, right? You are the love that you've been seeking, right? And so how do you do it? Well, you embody it. Okay. But here's the thing. And again, this is a very big difference from most people in the manifestation community. This differentiates me, and I show you how to do this. But is that you need to create a cohesive mindset that isn't just in here, but always starts here and then out here. So yes, you can take action. In fact, you should take action from the state of being fully loved. Never do an action or perform an action out of I need you. Let me let you in on a little secret. You don't need anybody ever. Ever. I don't care how young or old or whatever it is. That's what this is about, right? So when you're using revision, you need to understand you're not revising to get rid of lack. You're revising to live the life of somebody who's already been loved all along. Okay. So when you are, let's say, for example, if you're trying to revise someone like an SP back, okay, then none of that ever happened. That's what revision is. It isn't just creating a scene. You're quite literally actually creating um, a um, a revision of time altogether. You're removing the time, space, distance between you and the other person. There was never a breakup. There was never a separation. There was never a painful moment, right? Now, does that mean that along the way that you get to, hear this, you get to heal? Yes, of course. Does that mean that while you're revising that you might need to go to therapy? Of course. Does that mean that you might need to go online and Google like how to use CBT to heal? Of course. Any of those are important and you should seek out healing immediately because what you're doing is you're gifting yourself and the other person a healed version of you, right? And so that is an absolute responsibility that you get to pursue. Okay. Hear how I'm saying this. It's not something that you're forced to do, right? And you're not trying to use manifestation to force someone away or to force someone back. Okay. And that even works with 3P or a third person, right? And we're going to get into that in another video. How do you deal with a third person? Because a lot of the stuff that's out there is very dark. How do I get rid of a third person? I don't agree with that, and that's not what I endorse, and I will never endorse that. Okay? There is a way in which you can live your life as if you're already with that person, and that will make already the assumption there is no 3P. You don't sit there and try to manifest somebody else's way, right? So back to this. How do you revise, okay, your SP back? Well, revision says there is no back. There is no return because this person never left. So do you hear the difference? If you're creating a state akin to sleep, then that means you're trying to build a world where there's a new, completely never heard of, never interacted with before SP that's coming to you. Revision is saying, hey, there's something that I want to change. But remember, who's changing? You're changing. Okay? And go check out my other one where I introduce revision. But again, what do you do in this world while you're waiting? And I don't like the word waiting because in here there's no waiting. It's always now. So whenever you think you're waiting, go back in here and feel it now. Okay? Because once you start not only mentioning, but interpreting the waiting, you're now starting to fall back into the old state. Because the old state is all about measuring time, right? And so the new state is timelessness, okay? Agelessness, right? And so again, there is no measurement of time when you're revising if you're living in here, okay? But living in here doesn't mean not living out here. This is a stage world, okay? But what you're doing is you're building out a character and then you're embodying the character. So how do you do it? Well, think about this. If this is the stage world, okay? This is the stage world. What are you doing when you actually go and learn a new character? You have to memorize the lines. You have to memorize the mindset. You have bodily reactions that this character would have if they were in the state of the new character. So what does that mean? You're rehearsing this every day. That's what this means. I do not like and I do not agree with the consumer model of manifestation whatsoever. Okay, that's a huge difference, all right? Is that you can't do a drive-through manifestation. Yes, you can do quick manifestations, all that good stuff. Great. Okay, I believe that. I teach you how to do that in my coaching program and everything like that. But when it comes to these kinds of issues where we're dealing with deeper belief systems, that takes time. That takes healing. And it's a gift to yourself and to other people, actually investing in the time to heal. Okay? Yes, you can get healing by using the inner conversations, the mental diets. Okay? Um, Now, again, what's happening when you're revising an SP? You're revising that there was no gap. There was no fight. There was no separation, right? And so again, you're not only just revising your perspective of the other person, but you're also revising your perspective of relationships because maybe that's what influenced it, right? And then you're also revising yourself. Okay, because if you check out my other videos where I show you, and even if you're listening to this now during the 5-day challenge, I actually show you how to break down what a belief is and how to build a new one from scratch. Okay, and this is all psychologically and neuroscientifically backed, right? Because I really truly want success for you. So again, revising your SP back is not coming from a state of lovelessness because you're not revising that, right? Because if you're revising anything, you're loved, you're accepted, you're embraced, you're celebrated, and you're doing the same with this other person in your life, right? And so, again, you're doing that. So, as I close, I want to give you a practical example of how to break this down. So, if you are trying to revise your history about somebody coming back into your life, here's some practical tips, okay? Create a scene, right? Where you are living in it from the first person. Make it as dynamic and creative and beautiful as you can. Do not make 2-hour scenes. That's awful. Okay. Make like a max, like 5-minute scene. Okay. And make it beautiful. Make it really vivid. Make it feel like home. And even while you're in it, say, this is true. Say it literally as the first person. Say to yourself in your mind, this is true. This is happening right now. Okay. And then end it. When you end it and you walk away from it, you go do your stuff and go to Starbucks or wherever you want to go, be like, that just happened. That was a memory. And then when you have doubts, point and steer your mind to say, I remember when. I remember when this happened. Okay. Because what's going to happen is if you let that emotion go and you don't direct it, you're going to just continuously cycle through loneliness. Okay. And you don't deserve that. And loneliness doesn't deserve you. Okay. So you have to realize that you have to be very active and you have to be part of your own journey towards believing and accepting the only truth, the only possible truth is this person is already back in your life. Not coming back to you, not will come back, is back. So how would you live your life today? So again, if you went today and it's after the scene and you come up and you're like, well, I don't see any movement from my SP or whatever it is, you take that and say, oh, so they must be at work. Or, oh, you know what? They're off on a work trip. Oh, they're visiting their family in Milwaukee. Whatever it is, oh, they're overseas visiting my cousins. Whatever it is, you give it a meaning that only serves your desired end. That's it. Okay. And you do it from a state of what? Not lovelessness, not lack, not are they going to come back, but from I'm loved, I'm celebrated. Then you sit in that feeling, you bask in that feeling, you drench in that feeling. And that's Neville's technique, drenching, right? And you drench that until it gets to the point of self-conviction and you go about your day. You do not try to exhaust yourself emotionally throughout the day. Okay. You full on go through your day, and anytime doubts come up, boom, I remember when. Because now it's a memory. That scene that you revised is now a solid memory in your mind. And the more you rehearse it, you become the character that has had that memory, who's had that experience. Okay? So again, this is about rehearsal, commitment, stubbornness, and you deserve that. So look at these, every single one, as a technique. Watch my other videos. I'm actually going to talk more about how to turn stubbornness into a daily technique and routine. So watch out for that. So thank you very much. Much love to you guys all. Be safe in the world.